This is Hannover Messe Daily, the heartbeat of innovation, industry and ideas. Each morning we bring you the key topics, the voices behind them and a first look at what the day at Hannover Messe has in store. Hannover Messe Daily, think tech forward.
Hello and welcome to Hannover Messe Daily. We are your hosts Christian Buchholz
and Kati Günther.
Today we are joined by Carolin Illig, Global Director of Hannover Messe, to talk about the two major center stage topics of this Tuesday: automotive transformation and security, defense and industrial transformation. We will look at what these developments mean for industry, how Hannover Messe is helping shape the debate, and what visitors should pay attention to today. Hello, Carolin. It's a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Yes. Hi, Christian. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Carolin, the topics of the day at the center stage are automotive transformation and security, defense, and industrial transformation. These two areas are shaped by geopolitical, technological, and sustainability challenges. Could you briefly introduce these topics and explain how they are reflected at Hannover Messe?
Of course, it's my pleasure. Automotive transformation is about how the automotive sector is reinventing itself, from electrification and software-defined vehicles to resilient supply chains and sustainable production. At Hannover Messe, this is reflected through innovations in automation, AI, battery manufacturing, smart factories, and industrial partnerships that help manufacturers stay competitive. Second, security, defense, and industrial transformation addresses how industries respond to a changing geopolitical environment. At Hannover Messe, the focus is exclusively on production technology for defense manufacturing. In other words, how industry can scale production quickly and efficiently, for example, from batch sizes of 20,000 to 2 million units. The focus is not on weapon systems themselves, but on manufacturing capacity, automation, supply chain resilience, and industrial readiness. Topics related to weapons platforms are covered at specialized defense events such as DSEI Germany.
Carolin, what role does Hannover Messe play in the major transformation currently underway in the European automotive industry and in the security and defense sector? What impulses do you want to give companies to help them adapt to these shifts?
Hannover Messe is the place where industrial transformation becomes practical. It connects companies with the technologies and partners they need to adapt faster and stay competitive. For the automotive industry, that means accelerating electrification, software-driven production, resilient supply chains, and sustainable manufacturing through automation, AI, robotics, and smart factories. For security and defense, our focus is very clear: not weapon systems, but production technology. With a new defense production area, we show how industry can scale manufacturing capacity quickly, securely, and efficiently through automation, additive manufacturing, digitalization, traceability, and IT/OT security. The key impulse to companies is this: resilience and competitiveness now depend on industrial speed, flexibility, and collaboration across ecosystems.
In your view, which key discussions or speeches on the center stage should visitors absolutely take away today?
It's first security, defense, and industrial transformation with Mr. Pappberger, Michael Schönhorn from Airbus, Markus Laubenthal, Chief of Staff NATO, the Leaders Dialogue Empowering Industrial AI with Katharina Reiche, Cedric Neike, Tanja Rückert, and Automotive Transformation, Toto Wolf of Mercedes, Oliver Steil, Adrian Born, Timo Kistner, and Florian Lechner from Volkswagen.
There are plenty of interesting events happening beyond center stage today. Are there any sessions, formats, or highlights you would especially recommend that visitors should not miss?
Yes, definitely. It's the second cybersecurity breakfast at Hannover Messe in collaboration with the Cisco Alliance. 90 minutes of digital resilience in an exclusive setting. Discussion, insight, and networking over breakfast with leading figures from business, security, and digitalization from 10 to 11:45 a.m. in Hall 26. And the 7th Lightweight Summit Advantage Through Efficiency, organized by the Federal Ministry of Economic Affairs and Energy is an annual high-level conference focused on the technical and political challenges of lightweightening. From 2 to 5 p.m. in our convention area, Hall 1920, Room New York, and the IoT Meetup. Meet new and familiar faces from the IoT world at our community meetup in cooperation with Smart Systems Hub at 4 p.m.
Now, let's turn to our next guest, Oliver Steil, CEO of TeamViewer, a German company that serves more than 600,000 customers across industry to optimize their digital workplaces. With Oliver, we'll talk about how TeamViewer has grown beyond remote connectivity and what the company's partnership with the Mercedes-AMG Petronas Formula One team looks like in practice. Hello, Oliver.
Hello.
It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Oliver, TeamViewer is best known as a remote connectivity tool. How has the company evolved beyond that label?
Yeah, so from remote connectivity, remote support, remote control, remote access, we have expanded into digital workplace management. So we try to look at workplaces in industries, across industries, as you said, and really digitalize them. So we provide the right data at the right time to the right people. We have workflow engines. We have a software tool which is called DEX, Digital Employee Experience, where we constantly measure how a person is feeling the digital environment and the workplace, and we optimize it from there. And we automate this optimization anymore. So it's almost like autonomous IT management, moving management of environment from reactive, where somebody has to do something, to proactive and automated using AI.
And today you will be sharing the stage with Toto Wolf, the team principal and CEO of Mercedes-AMG Petronas Formula One team. The two of you will be talking about your long-term partnership. What does this partnership actually look like in practice?
Yeah, it started years ago. They were our customer and they were using our remote functionalities. So basically, if you think about this Formula One team, they have a headquarter, they have factories in England, I think 2,000 people altogether. But when they operate, as the race team operates, they are out there in the world at the racetrack with, I think, 100 people or so max. And we were the remote connectivity provider for this. So in order to run their operations on site at the race, they were using TeamViewer as a platform long before we started this strategic partnership. This use of the remote connectivity and the remote functionality was then very, very important, as you can imagine, during COVID, when people couldn't travel. And that was also the time when we said we should use that partnership or this customer relationship and build more use cases. And now we're applying all of the use cases, all the tools and products that we have that I mentioned before, across the system, the business system, I should say, the team of Mercedes Formula One in different parts of their business, in R&D, engineering, in production, prototyping, race operations, training, simulation.
So Formula One teams only adopt technology that delivers measurable performance benefits. Can you give an example of where TeamViewer has made a real difference on race weekends?
Yeah, so it is true. The bar is very high. I would say, as any other industry, any company in any industry, the company would always only choose technology that creates ROI. But I think with the Formula One team, with the rhythm of the season and the race every 2 weeks or every week, sometimes I think the time to impact is very short. So you have to provide solutions which generate an impact for the team, measurable impact very quickly. And measurable impact means faster laps, winning races. So it's a very concrete task that you're having. And therefore, I would say the team is very, very selective. One example where you can see how the performance of our solutions, the low latency, the perfect connectivity works is when they curate data feed to the racetrack. So there's engineers in the headquarter, in the factory. They have access to all data, all sensor data, every information that is available. And what is very important during a race is to make the information available that is most needed by the different people at the racetrack, by engineers, by driver, mechanics. And that data feed can be curated using TeamViewer, and therefore there's always the right information for the right person in the right moment. And that is really a matter of seconds, milliseconds. People that watch races or training sessions see that drivers sometimes only have like 30 seconds to look at data, and that has to be the right data. And all of that is curated from the headquarter, and that's what TeamViewer does.
Okay. So when we strip away the glamour, Formula One is an extreme environment for data latency, you just mentioned it, and reliability. Has working in that setting changed the way TeamViewer develops its products for industrial customers?
In a way, yes and no, I would say. TeamViewer proposition was always that it works in all environments very seamlessly and very quickly. So there was always a design criteria for our engineers for what we build is that you can deploy it yourself, you can understand it if you're a professional user, and then it works seamlessly in very high performance. I think that was the basis for becoming a provider of somebody like a Formula One team, because it is like low latency, as you say, and perfect connectivity. It has also trained us even more so than to have a very clear, fast ROI mindset. I think this is an environment where stakes are very high. Users are incredibly professional, very performance oriented, very driven. So there is no room for, I would say, mediocre solution. There's no room for slow development or imperfection because everything is perfect or should be perfect in this environment. And if you take a look at this sports team like a company, it's a sizable company, 2,000 people, remote operations, globally, very performance driven. And that really trains our engineers and our product managers and development to really have that focus of what can create value very quickly. Because we showcase something to the Mercedes team, they look at it and say, this creates value for us or not. If not, there's also no goodwill to just try it out because there's no time for that and no place for that. But if it creates value, then it works. And therefore, this mindset of immediate use of data, best process, no errors, and very quick ROI. That is something which is now key of our or part of our development principles in software.
Mhm. And also, TeamViewer is increasingly adding AI features to its platform. Where do you see the most realistic value of AI in remote connectivity and industrial workflows over the next few years?
I think AI, from our perspective, is the enabler across workflows, across industries to really drive a paradigm shift from reactive work to proactive work. I think the ability to constantly monitor, observe, evaluate data, and thereby have an understanding of what can go wrong, what can be optimized, and have that understanding upfront, and therefore proactively address issues, optimization potential. I think this is the big paradigm shift that we're seeing. This has been a discussion for long. Many people have been talking along about preventative maintenance and predictive maintenance. But I think really now, when you see what different companies are showing at Hanover Fair and also in other places, it's coming to life because there's an ability to really analyze and evaluate an enormous amount of data, make sense of it if you have the context, especially when you think about industrial AI. And this will be the big shift that is coming now. And it's possible because we have the compute power, which we didn't have before.
Mhm. Now, I'm interested in your personal view. From your perspective, what is the one thing visitors at Hannover Messe should definitely see or pay attention to this year?
I think it's not the one thing they should see. I would say what to look out for, because what I found interesting, if you now listen and work the booth, talk to people, I think you see many more real life examples that scale and create value in the industrial environment and adjacent environments. I think that for me is a significant shift now that we're seeing. I would say years ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it was often that you saw interesting things. And as a manager and as a leader in a company, you always see interesting things to learn and adjust and assess. But quite often, I think you took a step back and thought, yeah, but is it really scaling? Is it really creating ROI? And should I really scale this? Or is this just a good POC, proof of concept, showcase, which sparks thinking, but it's nothing for day-to-day operation? And I think that has changed. There's still a lot of this, but there's now many more use cases using AI in industrial environments with machines. If you come to our booth, for example, you see dairy feeders of a dairy company using AI and using our technology. You have AI support for frontline workers out there in the field that do workflows in repair and maintenance, also powered by AI. And there's many of these examples by many providers. And I think that is a qualitative shift, which is exciting because now it's really landing.
So for everyone who is interested to learn more about TeamViewer, where can people find you?
We have a nice booth, I would say, in the middle of many other AI software companies. It's in the hall 15, there's very tangible use cases which we can showcase and which touch a lot upon what you were asking about.
All right. So if you'd like to hear more about the partnership between TeamViewer and Mercedes, please join us at the center stage in Hall 25 today at 12:50 p.m. There, Oliver will speak with Toto Wolff, team principal and CEO of Mercedes-AMG Petronas Formula One team, about the race for innovation. Oliver, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. And now turning from Oliver to Carolin again to wrap up today's podcast with our number of the day. Carolin, what have you got for us today?
We are welcoming a total over 300 delegations to Hannover Messe 2026, including domestic, international, and political groups.
Impressive. Thank you very much, Carolin.
Thank you, Christian.
And that's it for today's Hannover Messe Daily. Thank you to Carolin Illig and Oliver Steil for the great conversation and their insights. We wish you a lively and inspiring day and hope you will join us again tomorrow morning for more key themes and voices from Hannover Messe.